That's why you don't trust those flying rodents, you hear me? Hey guys, it's your girl Asia, aka Geek X Like Chic, and we're back with another reaction to Motherland Fort Salem. We're now into episode 8, which is called Delusional. So we ended the last episode with a lot going on. Most importantly, I would say we have retrieved Raelle after being kidnapped by the Camarilla. We have a little bit more insight into what the Camarilla are doing as far as studying what witches can do and obviously trying to use it against them. We saw that Abigail and her man, her Swiss Army knife of battle, Adil, go in and take out one of the Camarilla's compounds that had the children as well, that of course had Raelle as well. And of course Raelle came to the devastating realization that her mother had been alive all this time and that Scylla is not actually off in jail. But, you know, we know that a much more difficult conversation is coming for them. So lots of things still going on, along with Alder still being constantly attacked by Nichte. And I'm honestly not that mad at it. So lots to get into. Very excited to get into the episode. But before we do, you know the drill. If you've been here before and you like what you see, please consider hitting that subscribe button. That way you'll be notified when I do more reactions to shows like this, including, of course, this one I'm talking about right now. Girl, it's still early. All right. That out of the way, guys. Let's get into the episode right about now.
Dismissed.
That's right, Tally coming in with authority. She's like, you remember how I saved you, Alder? Me? Yeah, me.
You can't find Nichte without me. I want my unit by my side. We
Bitch!
If you really want Nichte, it seems like having the witch bomb along might be helpful.
We'll pick them up on the way.
Woo! Tables have turned.
The orders are to eliminate the target. Cadet. Is that a problem?
Not for me.
No. General.
Oh, this is delicious. This is so good. And it's all the more so because Tally had her in such a pedestal before this. Oh, Alder's like, I'm mad at you, but I'm also slightly turned on.
Get that on her as soon as possible.
But if this is a kill mission, why are we bringing this?
I'm changing the objective. I'll inform the strike team. You bring Batan back.
Thank you.
You have less than an hour. Tell me everything you know about Nichte Batan.
Hell yeah! I like this Petra on board. She's like, you know I don't like that old woman neither. Been trying to get Alder out that seat. As I've said before, I know that there's got to be more of a story going on here that we're still not hearing from Alder yet, but she's broken trust with her people, so this is what's going to have to happen. If she was really okay, I feel like she should be able to confide at least in her top people about what the whole Batan thing is about. So this is what happens when you keep secrets. They got to come out, and usually it's not going to come the way that you want it to. Need some therapy, boo? This is not awkward.
I'm gonna take a shower.
Join you. No? Okay. Too soon.
So then I have stuff to deal with. Fine. Yell if you need me. I am right next door.
I really wouldn't mess with Abigail right now. She literally screamed a man's face off a second ago. She ain't playing.
My dad came in and told me she was dead. But that was all just a lie.
It
His
was.
mother loved you so much.
Scylla.
The hardest thing in her life was keeping away from you. She let us grieve her for no reason.
Yeah.
Since the Camarilla resurfaced and attacked our leadership, she thought you'd be safer where you were. She should have given me that choice.
Amen.
Instead, she gave her life for you.
She knows. And she's got to live with that. just go in there, Abby. A little something called sexual healing. You know what I'm saying? I'm kidding. Wow, that's an interesting parallel. Her army medallion, and he's got the blood of his family around his neck. See? Girl, I told you. That's very symbolic.
The two women I've loved most in this world were terrorists who did awful things. What does that say about me? Does it have
You've got horrible taste in female counterparts.
And we killed people who were hunting us. How did that?
I'm trying.
It's gonna take a minute.
People who took you and did what they did to you are the only enemy that matters.
Facts.
You got any spray food in that spray kitchen?
Right? She's like, I need to replenish. I've died like 6 times today. What have you done?
Just wish I didn't have to carry it.
How are you alone? You've got Abigail and Tally.
Mm-hmm.
They're always going to be your sisters.
They would die for you, girl. Why does the sun keep playing me? Reunion hugs. Adele's like, can I have a hug? No.
Yeah, lots happened.
Tally's like, I'm ready to fight everybody right now.
You don't think Scylla being one of her followers is kind of a conflict?
She had my back in that lab. You saw that.
Abigail, we are familiar with spree work.
Abigail's like, and I don't trust this bitch.
We need her.
It's true. You don't have to like her. Abigail's like, I've been waiting to punch you. I feel like you guys should have brought Adele though. He's like super powerful and useful.
Stay alert. Cadets, you stay behind us.
She's so gonna go first. You know, maybe the worst thing y'all could have done is show up in military uniforms. Probably triggering for a woman who hates the military. Ma'am, is this the time to get distracted? We really don't have time for you to have PTSD and grieving right now. Can we just... Okay.
Don't answer that.
Ah, Delusional. Episode title makes sense now.
You know, Ray, I thought marrying your father was the thing that ruined my life.
Oh, damn.
You.
So this is clearly a grief work of some kind. This reminds me of WandaVision. Talking through the radio and stuff.
So real. How did you get out of it? You've used this working before. On a larger scale.
Yeah, like when people like walked off of those rooftops and stuff inside the mall. Yeah. But seriously, how did everybody leave Raelle behind? What kind of army unit is this? Come on, remember the creepy escape room with the dolls.
I summoned you here to talk about your behavior.
Why does this feel weird?
I'm sorry. I was upset about Raelle. I know.
Why are you apologizing to this woman? Tally, you are so whipped, it's kind of gross.
I haven't come across many like you.
Oh,
I knew it.
well.
Tally got a crush. Okay.
I've had many biddies over the centuries.
Oh, this is really creepy. This is literally like some weird, twisted, like, teacher fantasy.
Now you will rejoin my biddies. But I hope that you know that your sacrifice will never be forgotten.
Okay. To think that the biddies are like a nightmare now. I mean, that's personally how I always felt about it, but that's actually funny. Come on, girl. Come on. You got out of the escape room. You can do this. Damn. I gotta say, this work is pretty badass. It's right up there with what Adele's been doing, but much darker. Well, we know where Abigail is. Wow. Not a single one of them learned anything from that escape room test. Not one. This is tapping into their deepest fears and also their deepest insecurities. Now you're about to kill your family. Are you happy? I'm kidding. Abigail's like, I give up. I actually don't like my family that much. Poor girl. Oh, she would too. Oh no, baby girl, no. Raelle's like, I've actually wanted to slap you since season 1. And don't you forget it. Where's your senior officers? Weren't they supposed to be protecting you or something?
Your life, you actually listen to somebody else.
By the way, if your cheek really stings later, I totally didn't slap you. Oh, I'm sorry, senior officers.
Nichte can't be too far away.
Guess if anyone knows the details of that kind of working, it's a member of the spree.
I mean, come on, girl. You had to know. 5 stages of grief, Scylla. She was grieving before, and now she's in the anger phase. It's gonna take a minute.
Hey, I don't like things flying in my face.
I'm sure you weren't Betty Tally because you're still acting like an old lady.
Oh, this is a spell.
No. Nothing.
So what do we do?
We carry out our mission.
Now, see if he'd had a dill, he would just sunk the whole house. Let's see how Nichte handles that. Actually, no. Considering what the dill's going through right now, if he was there, she would go right into his PTSD about killing all those people. So no, actually, that would break him. I take it back. He's fine. He's fine.
Took a bunch of fungus to make you stand up in the crowd.
And you're still.
A lot of inner thoughts coming out here, ladies. Let's just reel it back. Can we all just have some like rosé and chill?
But you wouldn't know anything about that because the only value you have to your mother is your womb. Stop it! We have to find Nichte. Just
This. Uh-oh. They're all okay. They'll just kill each other. Okay.
Screw this.
Yes, Tally! The opposite for Tally is complete apathy. The bats. Somehow the bats are like carrying this thing. That's why you don't trust those flying rodents, you hear me? Yeah, wake up. Y'all remember that you're here? That's really smart, by the way. Great way to keep the spell going everywhere. Okay, Nichte's like, not today, girl.
Where's your witch bomb now, Beasley? Will it go off when I break your neck?
Actually, yes, but let's not. Can we not?
It's a shame I'm gonna have to snuff that out.
Oh, she's weak. Too much magic happening.
Not unless you release my unit. You're right.
She made a choice. They're like, her face like, oh, I know you wasn't. But Nichte, listen to what she said. She says she knows your story. She ain't just here to try to tell you that you're a murderer. I mean, if it was her or Tally. Oh, okay, Tally's like, listen, I'm not dealing with this today.
Hey, what happened at the cabin?
It was my real thoughts, but they were very valid.
And that's what you should do. You should find a home for the girl. Maybe adopt your family or something. That's what I was thinking.
Totally, yeah. Then afterwards we can maybe catch up for tea, crackers, talking about my mother.
Thank you.
Abby?
I've done it without you. Yeah. Thanks.
Wow, Groove!
Guys, can we have a minute?
Y'all had a minute. You were out in the woods and everything. There was your moment. No flying kisses this time, though. That's a little too extra. A little too extra.
I hate what I said to you.
Oh.
That cabin. It's okay. I hate that I tried to kill you.
Only a little. What are you trying to tell her? I feel like it's important, but I understand why they can't let her talk. Aldo's gonna kill her on sight, I'm telling you. Something's gonna go down. She's trying to say, like, whatever you think's gonna happen is not gonna happen. Aldo's gonna kill me in the face.
What is this? Be careful, General. You have an audience.
Mm-hmm.
I knew nothing.
She's like, for real, I wasn't even part of it, but I'm really interested. She looks so sad.
Who lost their lives.
This is not okay, guys.
This is still my army.
Is it?
Don't forget that.
Okay. Didn't Tally literally reduce you to nothing earlier today, ma'am? No, it ain't your army no more. Oh, she switched bodies. That's so smart. You all chained up Tally this whole time. Y'all thought you knew. She's like, I was telling you it was me. I hate y'all.
You're looking surprisingly well.
outfit. That was some baller shit. You know, I sat there and I thought about it. I'm like, it doesn't really make sense for Nichte to let herself be captured. You know what I mean? If you go that hard against someone who has a literal army behind them, you're just gonna die. You know what I mean? You're not gonna be like, yeah, let me just see if I can like fight her. No, like, I mean, she did. She took her shot. But even then, Nichte ain't done. Nichte ain't done because, again, she had to know that they would get to her before she could possibly take Alder's head off with that lasso. No, there's more plans. Nichte, I know it. Nichte's got to have this. She's been doing this sprees, what, 20 years ago, they said? Nah, there's backup plans. Nichte's got more going on, but I love them. Girls, Nichte's work is some next level stuff. The army thought they knew what they were doing, but Nichte, yeah, no, her magic, greater than. All right, guys, that was the latest episode of Motherland Fort Salem. And again, strong episode. Really liked it. I liked that even though this was very much kind of a slower episodes in some ways, and that we only really focused on our trio for the most part, they did a really good job of building good suspense. And again, letting us, reinforcing, I should say, to us that Nichte is no punk. Like, she is no one for anybody to underestimate. And she's made that abundantly clear throughout this episode, but also like obviously throughout the seasons. I really like how they used this episode to both, again, reinforce Nichte's power, but also to show us a little bit more about our main trio and what's going on with them. And let's just kind of go through each of them, because I think it's kind of interesting to see the worst fears that ended up being surfaced by our three girls, right? So we can start with Raelle, because she was the first one. The fear that she has around, just not fear, I guess you could say it. Nichte's work in the forest seemed to be that she first focused on their worst fears, right? So we went with Raelle, and for her, her worst fear was that her mother never really loved her, right? That because she discovered her mom had been alive all this time, never came for her, never chose her over the spree, it made, you know, she's that deep insecurity now that she's living with, okay, did she really love me? Did she really care about me? Was I really a priority? Because that's every child's worst fear. Let's be real, that our parents don't value us as much as we value them. And so she just kind of dug into that. And we saw that, you know, she's questioning in that whole scenario with her being at home with her dad and her mom making those weird ass mushrooms, her thinking like, where's all that a lie? Well, all those family dinners, all those times she told me when she was overseas thinking about me, was any of that real if she was willing to separate herself from me, let me grieve her all this time, right? And that's very valid. Like, most of us would think the same thing if we found out that our parents faked their own deaths, right? So I said that, right? Raelle's gonna be processing this for a while, but sadly, because of everything that's happening, she doesn't have time to really sit down and go through her trauma. But it's completely understandable that this is something she's going to be grappling with for a while. But thankfully, with the whole thing with Scylla, I was saying, like, you know, there's got to be a little bit of resentment in there, right? I don't think she's quite as chill with Scylla as we saw, but in the grand scheme of things, I think that she's thinking, all right, Scylla is the last connection that I kind of have to my mother and what my mother was up to and thinking and feeling for the last few years. And also she loves Scylla, so to kind of dig into her anger at that particular point would not have been in her best interest in any way. But I think that, yeah, that whole scenario kind of brought up that insecurity. And then I'll get into the other side of things, you know, the fears and stuff like that, or sorry, the fears and insecurities, and then kind of like their inner thoughts later. But yeah, I thought that was very interesting that they brought that out about Raelle and that deep set insecurity she's had for a long time that obviously got exacerbated by finding out that her mom had lied to her. And then we went on to Tally's. Was very interesting. Like, I'm still trying to figure it out. It had a very strange overtone, and I've been saying this since this season began, that her whole Biddy experience, I don't know, like, it's just like it's like it's a combination of worship and a slight crush, I guess is the best way to put it. Because I was like, the way she was acting after the Biddyhood was removed, it's just like, girl, you are like obsessed, like almost like crush obsessed. And at first I thought maybe it's just residue, maybe it's just because she's worshipped Alder for so long. But when we had that whole reenactment of her and Alder sitting there with her hair down and her wine and the sexy music in the background, I was like, Tally? I mean, I guess Alder is a cool woman, but it's a very weird type of energy she's got about Alder. I think that worship is still somewhat there, but the insecurity tapped into was very much that she wants to be what she thought Alder was, but now that she's seeing that Alder is not what she's made up Alder to be in her mind, I think Tally's feeling a bit insecure about what she wants to be or who she wants to model herself after, right? And this is like that expression they say about like, you don't want to meet your heroes in real life because you'll probably find yourself grossly disappointed. Tally put this woman on a literal pedestal, as many people I think outside of the military probably did who didn't, meet her or know her story. And then to find out, all this stuff, layer after layer of how flawed Alder is, I think it's got Tally feeling very conflicted. Because on the one hand, I think she still respects a lot of what Alder represents and what Alder has done, but she also knows that Alder has all these really deep and twisted flaws that she hasn't dealt with or acknowledged. And so now I think she's feeling some type of way because she still does like that. Like she still likes Alder. How do I put it? She still feels that adoration, but she also feels guilty, I think, for feeling that adoration. And also, she didn't want to be a biddy. That fear of being tied to Alder in that type of way, again, clearly terrified her. And understandably, right? I don't think that Tally ever wanted to be a biddy so much as she wanted to be Alder or someone like Alder or close to Alder, if that makes sense. So that was a very interesting and, like I said, slightly confusing look into her feelings and the complexity of... I'm sorry, that sounded weird because I was thinking of complicated and complexity. The complex nature of her feelings about Alder and how she's still sifting through a lot of that. But I like it because it still gave us a really good window into her mind and how it's working on this whole Alder situation. Because I kept saying, you've heard me rant about this throughout the season, about like, Tally, we need to drop this hero worship. And I think she's trying to, but there's still very much that conflict inside of her about how much she should drop or if she should still be that Tally who still believes that there's a good Alder in there somewhere, which is not a bad thing. And then we get to Abigail, and Abigail, of course, tied to her family, tied to the pressure she constantly feels to be the best, which is a bellwether thing. We've seen it with her mother, that family dinner. We saw the generational pressure that has been passed along in the bellwether family. And her wanting to do something that she feels is really going to make her family so proud of her. And it's sad because they are. You know what I mean? Like deep down you could see it. Her fathers are proud of her. Her mother is proud of her. Her grandmother is proud of her. But still, Abigail just feels like she wants to make this mark. She feels like she needs to make a statement about who she is as a witch and prove herself. And then you see her, again, that revisit to her trying to create that massive work, even though she's not quite sure how to control it or what to do with it yet. And her fear that she would somehow hurt someone, like her family, or again, just fail, really. The death part, I think, was just obviously the push that Nichte put in there to make her give up. But really, it came down to that fear of disappointing, that fear of not being able to cut it where her family is concerned, and that she's maybe not worthy outside of her name, right? And we've said that since season 1, right? That's always been her thing. So no real surprises there, but very creative and interesting way for them to demonstrate it in that whole delusion. And then finally we get to the whole cabin thing where all the inner thoughts came out, where, the other side of Nichte's work, which was, okay, let's get all the dirty laundry. Let me take down all those little walls we keep in the back of our minds that keep us from saying stuff that we really think and what we really feel, and get that out and really hype up the anger and the emotion and the adrenaline. And very interesting, like a lot of inner thoughts came out, right? A lot of things that I think they probably knew that they thought about each other, but just as the expression goes, some things don't need to be said aloud. All of Abby's feelings about Raelle from season 1, obviously she doesn't believe a lot of that, but we all have it, right? We all have our inner thoughts about people. We have our critiques, we have our judgments, and that all came out, and vice versa. Raelle, things she's been holding on to and saying and feeling since season 1. None of that was really shocking, but it was just like, woo, hearing it out loud. Ooh. Girls, man, we hold on to some things. We hold on to things very fiercely, and it comes out real awful when we finally let that stuff come out. Scylla, she didn't say a whole lot because she really doesn't have anything. She doesn't have that personal relationship with the girls, but again, we heard Raelle actually express how she was feeling about the fact that Scylla lied to her and kept the fact that her mother was alive from her and all that kind of stuff. And so all those things I'm glad it happened though, as hurtful and painful as it was. I love how on the helicopter, Abigail was like, I hate that I said that to you. yes, I've thought it, but you know I love you, right? My love for you is much more than me ever needing to say those things. But in a way, I'm glad they did it, because I almost feel like in humanity, if we could be mature enough to allow ourselves to just get some stuff off of our chest and be honest and say things would be so much easier, right? Because a lot of times if you kind of hear what people are really thinking and understand it better, you can see where they're coming from, and then you can like address any like rifts or problem that you really have. Like now I feel like despite all the things that were said in that moment, they all kind of know the dirty laundry now, and now they can just be like, okay, now I know what you think, what you feel, I know where this is coming from, and now we can just deal with it and like really just be done. I just feel like it brought them closer, because even though they can somewhat blame it on the work, it was real stuff that came out. And like I said, it's like just airing it all out, getting it off your chest. And now, because they do love each other so much, they can kind of just really move forward even stronger now that those things have been said and dealt with, and they can just move forward. So while, I mean, in the moment, it almost got them killed, Nichte actually did them a favor by kind of letting all those things fly. But what I thought was very interesting, though, is that Tally, who is generally quite empathetic, she's the peacemaker, she's the one who loves everybody, that the way it affected her, because she's not that super suppressor like the other ones were, was that she became apathetic. Instead of her wanting to fight, she's like, y'all, I don't care. Y'all can kill each other. Let me go home. Let me go get a meal and continue on my weird obsession with Alder. But thank goodness, because that's what ended up getting her outside of the cabin and outside of the worst of the work, and being able to see what Nichte was up to. So that was really cool. I love how they did that entire scenario. It was very smart, very well written to me. And then of course, her versus Nichte. The part that saddened me about Tally versus Nichte is that Nichte is just so hell-bent right now that she's not listening to what Tally said. Like Tally said to her, like, I want you to tell your story. I want the truth to come out. And I think if Nichte had really been thinking, she would have understood that like, this is different. Most military people would have just been like, let's kill you. Let's get you out of here. But it's like Tally was really trying to be like, look, girl, I see you. Like, I'm trying to tell you that I know that Alder's been lying and that you have a valid point here. Again, I think I've talked about this on many shows. When you've been hell-bent on revenge for a very long time, sometimes people just can't pull the brakes. Like, they just can't find it within themselves to stop. They kind of feel like I've invested too much. She sacrificed 2 witches and all this stuff to try to get to Alder. So she just kind of feels like I can't make all this time and effort and work go for nothing, so to speak. So, but oh my gosh, that switcheroo at the end, I honestly didn't see that coming. But I knew something was off when Nichte kept screaming. And like I said, she looked scared. I'm like, Nichte don't look this scared. Like, it doesn't make sense. Especially seeing Alder. Like, she should have seen Alder and been like, you know, like you should have seen fury and hate. And so for her to look scared, it's like, okay, wait, what? I was like, this doesn't make sense. Either Alder did something real bad to her or something's not right here. And then it hit me that I was like, wait, Tally's acting really weird. And then I'm like, no way. No, I thought maybe she switched consciousness with her. I didn't realize she did the face thing because I didn't think about that. But well done, Nichte. But again, as I said, I feel like there's got to be a bigger plan at play, because why let yourself get captured? She could have literally left while those girls were trying to kill each other. Why did she stay? Why didn't she just leave, use that opportunity to flee? She could have. So I think she wanted to be captured, and I'm very curious as to why. Why would she risk being taken back to Fort Salem unless she has a bigger plan at play? And I have to think she does. She's been at this for too long to just have it all end with Alder getting to do whatever she wants to her. So the plot is still thickening, and they now have a wolf inside of the sheep pen. That's the thing, right? You know what I mean. And hopefully Tally or someone will be able to see what she's up to before it's too late. My guess is maybe it has something to do with Raelle, potentially. Because getting Raelle or getting Raelle's abilities would be very, very helpful to whatever Nichte's trying to do as well, I would think. So again, great episode, guys. I really enjoyed it. I hope you guys enjoyed watching it along with me. If you did, please go ahead and give this video a thumbs up, and we will see you in the next episode.